Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णकरुणासिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरि वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we will continue reading our sixth chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Sloka number 24. Sa nischayena yoktavyo yoga nirvinna chetasa sankalpa prabhavan kamams tyaktva sarvan asheshatah manasaivendriya gramam viniyamya samantatah. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon without exception all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind. Purport: the yoga practitioner should be determined and should patiently prosecute the practice without deviation. One should be sure of success at the end and pursue this course with great perseverance, not becoming discouraged if there is any delay in attainment of success. So this is a very important principle. So the yoga practice, or any kind of yoga practice for that matter, it will not give us immediate result, immediate touch and go result. It is not a fast food kind of a thing. It is a yoga practice. The yoga practice will take time, for its fructification. It will take time for its results, and it is something like when we go to the school, so we cannot ask that when will I become a graduate. So LKG, UKG, first standard, second standard, it's a long way to go. But if somebody is not getting the graduation, so he cannot just exit at first standard, second standard, so then it will not be a very good proposal. So immediate milestones are there, so we have to see that we are crossing these milestones, and then we have to go forward, with the courage, with the faith that we will definitely achieve the success of attaining the lotus feet of the Lord, or here in the dhyana yoga process is to attaining the mercy of the Paramatma, so, or meditating on the Paramatma. So this is something that we need to keep on. So the results take time, and one has to function with great patience and perseverance. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Okay. Success is sure for the rigid practitioner. Regarding Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami says, Utsahan Nischayat Dhairyat Tatat Karma Pravartanat Sangatyagat Sato Vrittehe Shadbir Bhaktihi Prasidyati. So one can execute the process of Bhakti Yoga successfully with full hearted enthusiasm, perseverance, and determination by following the prescribed duties in association of devotees and by engaging completely in activities of goodness. So this is all the six things that are mentioned. Sadvir Bhakti Prasidyati. Prasidyati means like that which can enhance our bhakti, or that which can improve our bhakti, or six things that are favorable for bhakti. So that is utsaha, that is enthusiasm. Nischayat, that is determination or the perseverance. Nischayat means perseverance, and dhairyat is patience. And then tatat karma pravartanat, so that is following the prescribed rules and regulations. And then sangatyagat, so giving up the material connections, or giving up material sense gratification or material association and things like that. And sato vrittehe, so that means the dealing straightforward. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the classes that sato vritte means like dealing straightforward or very clean in one's vritti. So that is sato vrittehe. So here Prabhupada writes that engaging completely in activities of goodness. So one's activities, one's karma should be like in mode of goodness. So these are all some of the things that are mentioned. And here also it is mentioned about utsaha, nischaya, dhairya. So these three are very, very important principle. And that's what Prabhupada was mentioning before in the purport, that one should be enthusiastic about the process, and one should have complete faith that this process works, and then he is ready to wait patiently for its results to come. So this is very important for success in yoga. So if somebody is like very, very impatient to get the results, then he will execute in the middle. Sorry, he'll exit in the middle. Okay. As for determination, one should follow the example of the sparrow who lost her eggs in the waves of the ocean. The sparrow laid her eggs on the shore of the ocean, but the big ocean carried away the eggs on its waves. The sparrow became very upset and asked the ocean to return her eggs. The ocean did not even consider her appeal. So the sparrow decided to dry up the ocean. She began to pick out the water in her small beak, and everyone laughed at her for her impossible determination. The news of her activity spread, and at last Garuda, the gigantic bird carrier of Lord Vishnu, heard it. He became compassionate towards his small sister bird, and so he came to see the sparrow. Garuda was very pleased by the determination of the small sparrow, and he promised to help. Thus, Garuda at once asked the ocean to return her eggs, lest he himself um, take up the work of the sparrow. The ocean was frightened at this and returned the eggs. Thus, the sparrow became happy by the grace of Garuda. Similarly, the practice of yoga, especially bhakti yoga and Krishna consciousness, may appear to be a very difficult job, but if anyone follows the principles with great determination, the Lord will surely help. For God helps those who help themselves. So this is a very important principle. Like no, as it is mentioned in the example of the Garuda coming into picture. So in the same way, we crossing over the material ocean is not at all possible. It is highly an impossible task. But then no, we practice the bhakti yoga, and then we take shelter of the Lord, and the Lord is the one who's actually taking us to the shore, the other shore of the material ocean, that is the spiritual world. So it is possible only by the mercy of the Lord, and for that we need to show our determination. So that's our role, and if we show our determination, then the Lord will act upon it, right? So just like how Garuda saved this small bird's eggs, so in the same way Krishna will save our devotion if we have sufficient determination to execute, right? Okay, so Prabhupada makes this very amazing statement: God helps those who help themselves. So we don't try, then no, it is our fault. Text 25. Sanaihi sanair upa uparame buddhya dhriti grihitaya atmasamstam mana kritva na kinchid apichintayed. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. Hmm. So one should self alone means S capital is mentioned here. That means the super soul within the body. So like it is, one should focus on the super soul, and one should actually try to attain the Lord, right? And nothing else should be there in the mind. No, that's the main thing. So especially while chanting. So this is also a very powerful meditational process that we are doing. So this chanting process, when we do, so this should be our goal, that nothing else is there in the mind. No, only we are able to think of the holy name of the Lord and nothing else, right? Okay. Purport: by proper conviction and intelligence, one should gradually cease sense activities. This is called pratyahara. So it is pratyahara means like separating the senses and the sense objects. No, parityaha, ahara. So the mind being controlled by conviction, meditation, and cessation from the senses should be situated in trance or samadhi. At that time, there is no longer any danger of becoming engaged in material conception of life. In other words, although one is involved with matter, as long as the material body exists, one should not think about sense gratification. One should think of no pleasure aside from the pleasure of Supreme Self. This state is easily attained by the directly practicing Krishna conscious by directly practicing Krishna consciousness. For a yogi to do this, it's a big circus, because he has to give up sense gratification, and then he has to, like, he should think that no, I should not indulge in any sense gratification and things like that. And he gets some pleasure in the yoga process, but then that is not sufficient enough for him to restrain the attraction of the senses, but he does it as an austerity. But for a person in Krishna consciousness, he, if he practices properly, then he starts getting bliss in Krishna consciousness, in the association of the Lord, in the association of the holy name. So then he can very easily give up the lower taste. That is very easy for him. Okay. Text 26. So this is a very important sloka which has the very important golden principle for perfecting our sadhana. That is mentioned here, right? Yato yato nischalati manas chanchalam astiram tatas tato niyam atmanyeva vasham nayet. So here we see that as and when the mind is actually going away, one should actually bring it back. It's a very important principle in the sadhana. Okay. Translation: from wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self. So we see that when the mind is going off to some other subjects, when we are chanting the names of the Lord, so we should actually bring it back and we should engage again in the chanting. So one thing that all of us would have experienced is that while chanting, when the mind goes off and it gets onto an interesting subject, and then it's we just keep carried away by that subject. Okay, so we see that whenever the mind goes off to an interesting subject, then it just gets carried away, and then sometimes we get remembrance that okay, we are off track. We are not thinking about the we are not just focused on the holy name. So our mind has gone somewhere else. So then we'll have to. Sometimes the mind says, okay, fine. Anyway, the topic is going interesting, so let's contemplate about it a little more. So no, but a yogi should be very, very clear why he is taken up this process, why he is sitting down with Japamala and chanting. So he should be very clear about his purpose, and then he should try to withdraw from wherever the mind is going, and then we should put it back. So many things we have given up for this one reason, right? So we have given up onion garlic, we have given up our past friends, we have even fought with our family members or whatever it is. All these things we have done only for the sake of properly focusing on our holy name. And if we are not able to focus on the holy name properly, then what's the point of all this sacrifice that we have done? So we have to make the best use of the this one, of all these austerities that we have already taken. So we should we should actually bring that austerities to perfection by the way of properly focusing on the holy name. And it is definitely for a sadhaka, it is possible that the mind goes somewhere else, but then it is very important that we have to drag the mind back into and then put it. Whenever we become conscious that the mind has gone away, so we should actually drag it back and then put it into the focus. So, and focus on the sound vibration of the holy name, right? Purport: the nature of the mind is flickering and unsteady. But a self-realized yogi has to control the mind. The mind should not control him. One who controls the mind and therefore the senses as well is called Goswami or Swami. And one who is controlled by the mind is called Godas or the servant of the senses. So go means senses. One of the meaning of go is senses. So there are different meanings for the go. So what is this? Go means the cow. Go means Mother Earth, and go also means the rays of the sun, and then go means senses. So these are all different meanings of go. And Goswami means controller of the senses. So one who controls the mind, automatically the senses are controlled, because the mind is the master of all the senses. So if the mind is controlled, then automatically all the senses are controlled, right? So such a person who controls, who's expert in controlling his mind, is called Goswami or Swami, and others are called as the Godas or the servant of the senses. A Goswami knows the standard of sense happiness. In transcendental sense happiness, the senses are engaged in the service of Rishikesha, or the supreme owner of the senses, that is Krishna. Serving Krishna with purified senses is called Krishna consciousness. That is a way of bringing the senses under full control. What is more, that is the highest perfection of yoga practice, right? So by constantly trying to engage the mind in the service of the Lord, by focusing on the holy name, so we will be able to perfect our yoga practice, our practice of chanting, right? Text 27. Prashantamanasam hyenam yoginam sukham uttamam upaithi shanta rajasam brahma bhutam akalmasham. So anyways, like, we are studying here the Ashtanga yoga process, and we are taking some useful principles for our bhakti yoga practice. But the Ashtanga yoga practice is not what we are doing. So I'm just like extracting some principles which we can use. Anyway, all yoga practices are good, and they have some nice principles, and if it can be used in the service of the Lord, it's good. So no, and it's and most of the time the principles remain the same. So here we are seeing Ashtanga Yoga process, which Arjuna will, in a short while, he's going to say that, no, I don't want to practice this Ashtanga Yoga practice because it's quite complex and it's quite difficult, right? So just before these set of slokas we are reading, we had read the day before yesterday, I suppose. So the Ashtanga Yoga practice has two stages. One is called Yoga Ruda and another is called Yoga Ruruksha. Yoga Ruruksha means beginner, and Yoga Ruda means a person who's seasoned, right? So is a very experienced and advanced yogi. So Yoga Ruruksha means like he has to practice all the asana, pranayama, and all those things, and then he has to perfect it. Then after that, he can come to the seasoned stage where dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, or intensified meditation, is going to happen. And Arjuna is about to fight a battle, and he is in tension, or he is in dilemma what he should perform. And then definitely he cannot go and do asana, pranayama, and perfect everything and situate himself on Krishna consciousness, and then with purified intelligence he can take decisions and things like that. That's a long cut. No, you cannot do that. So that's very, very difficult. So anyway, Arjuna is going to reject this process in short while. So but we are taking some gems out of this process also, like some things which are very nice, some principles that are mentioned here which are very nice, so we can use it in our bhakti yoga practice. Okay, so the yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the modes of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. Purport. Brahmabhuta is a state of being free from material contamination and situated in transcendental service of the Lord. So Brahmabhuta is Brahmabhuta Prasannatma na Soshati na Kankshati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhakti Lavate Param. So here we see that like this Brahmabhuta state is a state of existence. Now what our state of existence is bautic state, like, or the material state of existence. So whatever we see, whatever we deal with, it is all, we believe that this matter is true, and we have we only deal on the material plane. We don't have much idea of the spiritual plane. And gradually, when we progress, so the material consciousness reduces, the spiritual consciousness increases. And at one point in time, there is no material consciousness, only spiritual consciousness, right? So that is called Brahma Bhuta stage. That's a very, very high stage. And so in this Brahma Bhuta stage, what happens? So that is mentioned. That means it's a matter of this sloka, what is describing is a matter of advanced practitioner, right? So that is what this particular sloka is describing about. So Brahma Bhuta is a state of being free from material contamination. Zero material contamination is there, and situated in transcendental service of the Lord. Mad bhaktim labate param. Right? So one cannot remain in the quality of Brahman, the absolute, until one's mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. Savai mana Krishna padada vindayohu. So I hope yesterday devotees tried to memorize this shloka, and I was thinking for a week or 10 days, at the end of our sessions, we will recite this shloka one, 2, 3 times, so that it will become very solidly fixed up. So it is very nice. Each and every shloka that we are memorizing, it's going to be like a weapon. It's going to be a weapon which will equip us, or which we can use it against the onslaughts of Maya. So every shloka is a very, very powerful thing, and we should memorize more and more shlokas, and we should have them handy so that we can meditate upon them. So if you have to remember an English text, it will take a long time, and you may not be able to remember it verbatim. No, it will take a long time to do that. But then Sanskrit shlokas, you just do it once. It's just very easy. Like, you just take the first word, everything comes. So that's the power of the memorizing Sanskrit shlokas. So let's do this at the end of the session once more. Right? Okay. So Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindayor. Until unless we fix our mind on the lotus feet of the Lord, it's very difficult for us to remain on the Brahma Bhuta stage, right? So we can, by the other processes can take us to the liberated state, but it cannot guarantee us that we will remain in the liberated state. But then the Brahma Bhuta stage, but then if we fix our mind on the lotus feet of the Lord, then it is possible. So then we can actually be solidly situated. Okay. To be always engaged in transcendental loving service of the Lord, or to remain in Krishna consciousness, um, is to be factually liberated from the modes of passion and all material contamination. Okay, so to remain in Krishna consciousness, then we are called as liberated. Otherwise, it's not. Okay, text 28. Yunjan evam sadatmanam yogi vagata kalmashah sukena brahma samsparsham atyantam sukam ashnute. Thus, the self controlled yogi, constantly engaged in yoga practice, becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfect happiness in transcendental loving service of the Lord. Purport: the self realization means knowing one's constitutional position in relationship with the Supreme. The individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme, and his position is to render transcendental service to the Lord. This transcendental contact with the Supreme is called Brahma Samsparsha. Samsparsha means to come in contact. That's like, how do we come in contact? So, like air, we can come in contact by our feel of touch, and then if we have to come in contact with various things that are there. If I have to come in contact with somebody like who's there far off, then probably I may need to uh, contact him through WhatsApp or through a phone call, right? So that is the way I can actually come in contact with him. And Brahma Samsparsha, can I touch the Lord? Is it possible? Can I come in contact with the Lord by touching? No, it's not possible. So, with our blunt material senses, we cannot do that. So we have to come in contact with the Lord, means we have to come in contact with the Lord via service. No, that is the way we actually come in contact with the Lord. So in this way, we can see that. So Brahma Samsparsha means to come in contact with the Lord, and the proper channel to come in contact with the Lord is by the way of service. Just like a proper channel to come in contact with someone who is far away is to make a phone call or send a WhatsApp message or email or something like that. So in the same way, like to come in contact with the Lord, the proper channel is to render service. So then the contact is established. Okay, text 29. Sarvabhutastam Atmanam Sarvabhutani Chatmani Ikshate Yoga Yuktatma Sarvatra Samadarshanaha. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere. Hmm. So this is like sarvatra, no, deke ishtadi vaspurti. So this is a person in self-realized stage. He actually sees the form of the Lord at every place. Okay, a Krishna conscious yogi is the perfect seer because he sees Krishna, the Supreme, situated in everyone's heart as Super Soul, Paramatma. Ishvaraha Sarva Bhutan, Ishvaraha Sarva Bhutanam Hridadesha Arjuna Tishtati. The Lord in his Paramatma feature is situated within both the heart of the dog and that of a Brahmana. The perfect yogi knows that the Lord is eternally transcendental and is not materially affected by his presence in either a dog or a Brahmana. So, this is something that we read in the fourth chapter. This is essentially a transcendental knowledge that we gain. So, what is that transcendental knowledge? The Lord is beyond the material contamination. He can be there in this material world. He can be, guiding, and he can be driving things in this material world, but he is not touched by material things. No, he is completely beyond the material contamination, right? So material things cannot contaminate the Lord. So the Lord is present as a master, not as a controlled entity. Okay, so um, this is something the perfect yogi knows, that the Lord is eternally transcendental. That means he's not contaminated by material things and is not materially affected by his presence either in a dog or a Brahmana. That is a supreme neutrality of the Lord. The individual soul is also situated in the individual heart, but he is not present in all hearts. That is the distinction between the individual soul and the super soul. One who is not factually in the practice of yoga cannot see so clearly. A Krishna conscious person can see Krishna in the heart of both the believers and the non believers. In the Smriti, this is confirmed as आततवाच च मातृवाच च आत्महि paramo harihi. The Lord, being the source of all beings, is like the mother and maintainer. As the mother is neutral to all different kinds of children, the Supreme Father or Mother is also like no, this Krishna is no is our Supreme Father, and he's also our Supreme Mother, and he is neutral towards all the living entities. Whatever badmashi we can do, but still the Lord will never reject any living entity. He is always neutral towards everyone. Consequently, the super soul is always in every living being. Outwardly, also, every living being is situated in the energy of the Lord. As will be explained in the seventh chapter, the Lord has primarily two energies, that is, spiritual, superior energy, and the material or inferior energy. The living entity, although part of the superior energy, is conditioned by inferior energy. The living entity is always in the Lord's energy. Every living entity is situated in him in one way or another. So this is the famous set of slokas that we had always been discussing, that is 7.4 and 7.5. So where like earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego, it's considered to be inferior energy, and then the superior energy is the living entities, we all. And we are always in the energy of the Lord. We are always within the jurisdiction of the Lord, right? So we are in one way or another, the living entity is situated in the Lord only, all the time. So we cannot go outside the Lord. There is nothing called outside the Lord. So we have to live within the Lord, right? That is why he's called as Param Dhama, no? So Param Dhama, Pavitram Param. So the yogi sees equally because he sees that all living entities, although in different situations, according to the results of fruitive work, in all circumstances, remain the servant of God. While in the material energy, the living entity serves the material senses. And while in the spiritual energy, he serves the Supreme Lord directly. In either case, the living entity is the servant of God. This vision of equality is perfect in a person in Krishna consciousness. Right? So it's very clear. Okay. Text 30. Yo mam pashyati sarvatra sarvam cha mai pashyati tasyaham na pranashyami sacha me na pranashyati. For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Right? So, yo mam pashyati. Pashyati means to see, sarvatra, everywhere. And sarvam cha mai pashyati. So, everything, he sees in me, like, and he sees everything in me. And tashyaham, for such a person, I am na pranashyami. So, I will never be lost, for such a person. That means, he will not have any moment that he is not able to perceive the Lord. No, he's always perceiving the Lord. And such a may na pranashyati. So, like, and nor is he ever lost to me. So, this is a very, very perfect connection, right? So, if we make a call to somebody, if there is a network problem, then the connection drops, right? So, and here we see that we render some service to the Lord, we establish such a connection that this connection is never lost. And he's telling, Lord is telling that I am never lost to him, and nor is he ever lost to me, right? So the connection signal strength is so strong that no, we will never be lost, right? So that's how when we engage in the service of the Lord, we get such strong connection with the Lord. Okay, a person in Krishna consciousness certainly sees Lord Krishna everywhere, and he sees everything in Krishna. How do we see Lord Krishna everywhere? So Krishna will train us in the 10th chapter and 11th chapter and all. So to see him practically in everywhere. Hmm. Such a person may appear to see all separate manifestations of the material nature, but in each and every instance, he is conscious of Krishna, knowing that everything is a manifestation of Krishna's energy. Nothing can exist without Krishna, and Krishna is the Lord of everything. This is the basic principle of Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the development of love of Krishna, a position transcendental even to material liberation. At this stage of Krishna consciousness, beyond self realization, the devotee becomes one with Krishna in the sense that Krishna becomes everything for the devotee, and the devotee becomes full and loving Krishna. An intimate relationship between the Lord and the devotee then exists. No, very, very powerfully intimate relationship that the connection never gets lost. Right? And in that stage, the living entity can never be annihilated, nor is the personality of Godhead ever out of sight of the devotee. To merge in Krishna is spiritual annihilation. A devotee takes no such risk. In Brahma Samhita, it is stated in Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Churita, Bhakti Vilochanena Santaha Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokayanti, Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Gunaswarupam, Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the primeval Lord Govinda, who's always seen by the devotee, whose eyes are anointed with a pulp of love. He is seen in his eternal form of Shama Sundara, situated within the heart of the devotee. Right? Okay, so here we see that it's mentioned just before that a devotee, he doesn't annihilate himself by merging in the Lord's presence. So he always wants to maintain himself separate, and he wants to develop love towards the Lord, and in that way he is able to see the Lord all the time and render service to him all the time. Right? So at this stage, Lord Krishna never disappears from the sight of the devotee, nor does the devotee ever lose sight of the Lord. In the case of a yogi who sees the Lord as Paramatma within the heart, the same applies. Such a yogi turns into a pure devotee and cannot bear to live for a moment without seeing the Lord within himself. Right? So a person becomes very attached to the Lord in this way. Okay. सर्वभूतस्थितं यो मां भजत्येकत्वम् आस्थितः सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि स योगी मयि वर्तते. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that I and the super soul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances. Okay. So the Lord is telling that the Lord Himself and the super soul, whom He is describing in this Dhyana Yoga chapter, Dhyana Yoga is to meditate on the super soul within. And the Lord Krishna is telling myself and the super soul are non-different, right? So such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the super soul, knowing that I and the super soul are one, remain always in me in all circumstances. Okay, purport. A yogi who is practicing meditation on the super soul sees within himself the plenary portion of Krishna as Vishnu, with the four hands holding conch shell, wheel, club, and lotus flower. The yogi should know that Vishnu is non different from Krishna. Krishna, in this form of super soul, is situated um, in everyone's heart. Furthermore, there is no difference between the innumerable super souls present in innumerable hearts of living entities. So sometimes devotees ask, there is no so many different living entities are there, and in everyone's heart the Lord is present. Is it different super soul or is it the same super soul? It's actually the same person. No, it's actually the same entity. No, who is there? Okay, and yeah, so as we had sometimes discussed the example of of a moon getting reflected in different parts. So is it different moons they are? No, it's the same moon, it's reflected in different parts. In the same way, the super soul is the same one person, and who is there present in everyone's heart, right? Okay. Mm. Nor is there a difference between Krishna conscious person always engaged in transcendental loving service of Krishna and a perfect yogi engaged in meditation on the super soul. The yogi in Krishna consciousness, even though he may be engaged in various activities while in material existence, remains always situated in Krishna. So this is a very interesting subject. How we can say that a devotee, who is doing book distribution, who is managing the logistics, and who's trying to keep accounts or trying to clean the temple and things like that. So this is also yoga practice, and a yogi sitting in a lotus position, lotus posture, and then meditating on the Lord. No, he is also doing yoga. So how is it possible that we can say in this way? So yoga means what? To be in connection with the Lord. And the yogi who's sitting in a lotus position and then meditating on the form of the Lord, he is connecting with the Lord by meditation. So, in the same way, when we engage in various activities as directed by the authorities, as directed by Srila Prabhupada in his books and lectures, so then what happens is we are acting on the basis of the instructions of a superior, and it becomes completely Krishna conscious. It becomes completely engaged, or that is also called as yoga. Because we are connected to the Lord by following the instructions of the Lord or his pure devotees, or a superior. So we are following him. So then what it means is that we are connected to the Lord, right? So that is also a yoga process. So though we may be engaged in various different activities, right? Okay, so this is confirmed in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1 to 187 of Srila Rupa Goswami. Nikilashva api avastasu jivan muktasya uchyate. A devotee of the Lord, always acting in Krishna consciousness, is automatically liberated. In the Narada Pancharatra, this is confirmed in this way. Dik kaladi anavat, uh, anavachinne Krishne cheto vidayacha tanmayo bhavati kshipram jivo brahmani yojayet. By concentrating one's attention on the transcendental form of Krishna, who is all pervading and beyond time and space, one becomes absorbed in thinking of Krishna and then attains the happy state of transcendental association with him. Krishna consciousness is the highest stage of trance in yoga practice. This very understanding that Krishna is present as Paramatma in everyone's heart makes the yogi faultless. The Vedas, Gopalatapani Upanishad 1 to 121, confirms this inconceivable potency of the Lord as follows: Ekopi san bahuda yo vibhati. Although the Lord is one, he is present in innumerable hearts as many. Similarly, in the Smriti Shastras, it is said, Eka eva paro Vishnuhu sarva vyapi na samshayah aishwaryad rupamekam cha suryad vat um, abud no bahudeyate suryavat bahudeyate suryavat, no. Like the sun is present in one place and he is distributing its light everywhere. Suryavat, no, just like Surya. So eka eva paro Vishnuhu. So though the Vishnu is present in one place, or he is one, sarva vyapi na samshayaha. So he is a sarva vyapi. He is present everywhere. So no, how is it possible? So here let's see the translation. Vishnu is one, and yet he is certainly all pervading. By his inconceivable potency, in spite of his one form, he is present everywhere as the sun appears in the many places at once. Okay, text 32. Atma Atmopameyena sarvatra samam pashyati yorjuna sukam va yadi va dukkam sayogi paramo matah. He is a perfect yogi who, by compassion to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna. Okay, so this is all some of the symptoms of a perfect yogi that is coming in now. So he's a perfect yogi, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and in their distress. The purport: one who is Krishna conscious is a perfect yogi. He is aware of everyone's happiness and distress by dint of his own personal experience. The cause of the distress of living entity is forgetfulness of his relationship with God, and thus, and the cause of happiness is knowing Krishna to be the supreme enjoyer of all activities of human beings, the proprietor of all lands and planets, and the sincerest friend of all living entities. Right? Bhoktaram Vignatapasham Sarvaloka Maheshwaram Suhridam Sarvabhutanam Nyatva Mam Shanti Muchati. So this is the formula for being happiness. By knowing that the Lord is the enjoyer, the Lord is the proprietor, and the Lord is the best friend. Okay. So the perfect yogi knows that the living being who is conditioned by modes of material nature is subjected to the threefold material miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna. And because one in Krishna consciousness is happy, he tries to distribute the knowledge of Krishna everywhere. Because this is what like we are trying to do. So if we have to do this thing, if we have to do our book distribution or preaching nicely, so then the previous thing is very important. The perfect yogi knows the living being whose conditioned by modes of material nature is subjected to threefold miseries due to forgetfulness of his relationship with Krishna, and he is happy because he is able to have this relationship with Krishna. So if we have to preach the message of Krishna consciousness, then we must have this relationship with Krishna. Otherwise, it's not possible. So when we are trying to chant, no, our relationship is established by focusing on the sound vibration nicely. So otherwise, we will not have relationship with Krishna. And if we are asked to preach, we will say like, no, I'm not qualified, I'm not this, I'm not that, and things like that. So we should just simply focus on the holy name, experience Krishna, and share the experience with others. No, that's preaching actually. Okay. Since the perfect yogi tries to broadcast the importance of becoming Krishna conscious, he is the best philanthropist in the world, and he is the dearest servitor of the Lord. Nacha tasman manushyeshu kaschin me priyam krutamaha. So Krishna is telling that there is no one more dear to me than a person who is distributing this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. So towards the end of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions this. So Krishna is not mentioning those who are distributing food. No, they are dear to me. Those who are distributing some cloths or some other opening hospitals and dharmashalas and things like that. No, I'm very pleased with them. So it's not like that. Definitely Krishna is pleased with them. But then Krishna is telling highest heights. I'm pleased with all these people, but then I am not pleased with them as much as I am pleased with a person who's distributing this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. Right? So this is directly, it's not just Prabhupada wants book distribution to happen. It's like even Krishna wants book distribution to happen. That's what he's mentioning. Okay, in other words, a devotee of the Lord always looks to the welfare of all living entities. And in this way, he is factually the friend of everyone. He is the best yogi because he does not desire perfection in yoga for his personal benefit, but he tries for others also. He does not envy his fellow living entities. Here is a contrast between the pure devotee of the Lord and a yogi. interested only in his personal elevation. So a pure devotee of the Lord, he is interested in distributing the knowledge to everyone and getting people into Krishna consciousness. And a yogi says, okay, I have found out the way, I'll perfect myself. No, let me just perfect myself. So let everybody go to hell, not a problem. No, I just want to go and perfect myself. Right? So the yogi who has withdrawn to a secluded place in order to meditate perfectly may not be as perfect as a devotee who's trying his best to turn every man towards Krishna consciousness. Right? So it's nice, this one that we read. And we will just read a small section from the other book also. So this is by His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, and very nice, nicely is describing how his Sankirtan journey started, right? How he started being a book distributor. Okay, so this is commitment empowers action. Applying oneself to any endeavor requires commitment, and if we want to apply ourselves fully, we will have to make an absolute commitment. Commitment empowers action. Even the secular world appreciates the power of absolute commitment. The Scottish mountaineer William Murray, for example, after fully committing himself to accomplishing his childhood dream of climbing Mount Everest, found the energy and resource to attempt it. He never made it to the summit, but only because his body would not um, acclimatize to the height of the last stage. Murray writes, until one is committed, there is no hesitancy, the chance to draw back, always ineffectiveness. Concerning all acts of inactivity and creation, there is one elementary truth, the ignorance of which kills countless ideas and splendid plans. That the moment one definitely commits oneself, the providence moves too. All sorts of things occur to help one that would never otherwise have occurred. A whole stream of events issue from the decision, raising in one's favor all manners of unforeseen incidents and incidents and meetings and no material assistance, which no man could have dreamt would have come his way. I learned a deep respect for one of the uh, Goethe's couplets. Um, Whatever you can do or dream, you can begin it. Boundless has genius, power, and magic in it. Okay, so this is like basically, he's mentioning that if you have determination, then everything, all, what is that? All closed doors will open. So it has the capacity to open the doors just by being very confident and being determined. So we can achieve things, right? So here, of course, in the material things, it is subjective, but then in Krishna consciousness, it is for sure. No utsaha, nischaya, dhairya. Just some time back we read. So we should have the confidence that we will be able to perfect ourselves in Krishna consciousness. Right? Okay, if boldly applying oneself to a mundane task has such power and magic, imagine what those who fully commit themselves to do the work ordered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead achieve. Such persons can perform wonderful feats. Lord Brahma created a universe. The creating a universe is not an easy task. It's not just like building a house. So it's like a huge task, and it's just because of commitment. So the commitment to create was Brahma's, but the super soul gave him the intelligence to succeed. Srila Prabhupada writes in his purport to Srimad Bhagavatam 3.9.30, the mercy of the Lord bestows upon a particular person engaged in executing the responsible work entrusted unto him is beyond imagination. So till what extent the Lord can actually help a person who's determined to do his seva, it's beyond imagination. Anything the Lord can do. So one very important, this one is that Durva Maharaj, so when he embarked into this one, he wanted a greater kingdom than Lord Brahma. So the greater kingdom that is there in the whole creation is this, means at least in the material world, is Brahma's kingdom. And where will he get a greater kingdom than that? But he was so determined. And when he saw the Lord told that it is impossible what you are thinking of. I have to create some place new for you. So it is not possible that, no, I don't have any space to offer. But because you have pleased me, nothing is impossible. So whatever you have asked for must happen. So that's the amazing aspect of devotional service. Right? So if we please the Lord, then everything has to happen. Mhm. Okay, Brahma was interested. Okay, but his mercy is received due to our penance and perseverance in executing devotional service. Brahma was entrusted with the work of creating the planetary systems. The Lord instructed him that when he meditated, he would very easily know where and how the planetary systems must be arranged. The directions were to come from within, and there was no necessity for anxiety in the task. Such instructions of Buddhi Yoga are directly imparted by the Lord from within, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Right? So, since it is well known that Krishna is pleased by even a small effort made on his behalf, what blessings and empowerment must come to those who dedicated their whole lives to applying his order. For some, the goal of Bhakti Yoga may seem far away, but even beginners at once taste sweet success simply by starting to do Krishna's um, bidding, just as Murray tasted success um, even as he began his ascent of Mount Everest. Okay, so here we see that like if we have a goal, if we have a target, and if we are committed to it, so then Krishna will provide the necessary help. So we just need to have the determination, and Krishna will do help the devotee. Okay, so with this, we will just do this Savai Mana Krishna once again, and then we will carry on. Okay, so here is where the base. Okay, okay. So let's all chant together. So keep yourself muted and then chant with me. We will just chant this 3 times, and then we will we will close the session. Okay. सवै मनः कृष्णपदारविन्दयोर्वाचां शिवैकुण्ठगुणानुवर्णने. Just a minute. Just करौ हरेर्मन्दिरमार्जनादिषु श्रुतिं चकाराच्युतसत्कतोदये मुकुन्दलिङ्गालय दर्शने दृशौ तद्भृत्यगात्रस्परशाङ्गसङ्गमं ग्रानं च तत्पादसरोजसौरभे श्रीमत्तुलस्यारसनां तदर्पिते पादौ हरे क्षेत्रपदानुसर्पणे शिरो ऋषिकेश पदाभिवन्दने कामं च दास्ये न तु कामकाम्यया यतोत्तमश्लोकजनाश्रयारतिः स वै मनः कृष्णपदारविन्दयोर्वाचां शिवैकुण्ठगुणानुवर्णने करौ हरेर्मन्दिरमार्जनादिषु श्रुतिं चकाराच्युतसत्कथोदये मुकुन्दलिङ्गालय दर्शने दृशौ तद्भृत्यगात्रस्परशाङ्गसङ्गमम् घ्राणं च तत्पादसरोजसौरभे श्रीमत्तुलस्यारसनां तदर्पिते पादौ हरे क्षेत्रपदानुसर्पणे शिरो ऋषिकेशपदाभिवन्दने कामं च दास्ये न तु कामकाम्यया यतोत्तमश्लोकजनाश्रयारतिः स वै मनः कृष्णपदारविन्दयोर्वाचां शिवैकुण्ठगुणानुवर्णने करौ हरेर्मन्दिरमार्जनादिषु श्रुतिं चकाराच्युतसत्कतोदये मुकुन्दलिङ्गालय दर्शने दृशौ तद्भृत्यगात्रस्परशाङ्गसङ्गमं घ्राणं च तत्पादसरोजसौरभे श्रीमत्तुलस्यारसनां तदर्पिते पादौ हरे क्षेत्र पदानुसर्पणे शिरो हृषिकेशपदाभिवन्दने कामं च दास्ये न तु कामकाम्यया यतोत्तमश्लोकजनाश्रयारतिः. Okay, just before closing, would anybody like to chant this once? Anybody would volunteer to chant once?
Shall I try?
Yes, ma'am.
स वै मनः कृष्णपदारविन्दयोर्वाचांसि वैकुण्ठगुणानुवर्णने करो हरेर्मन्दिरमार्चिनादिशौ श्रुतिं चकारच्युत सत्त्वतोदये मुकुन्तलिङ्गालय दर्शने दृशौ तद्भृत्य गत्वा स्पर्शङ्गसङ्गमम् घ्राणं च तत्पादसरोजसौरभे श्रीमत्तुलस्य रसनं तदर्पिते पादौ हरे क्षेत्रपादानुसर्पणे शिरो ऋषिकेशपादात् पदाभिवन्दने कामं च दर्शेन तु कामकाम्यया यतोत्तमश्लोकजनाश्रया रतिः.
Okay, so that's good. So, anyone else wants to try?
I'll try, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Savai manah Krishna padaravindayor vachamsi Vaikuntha Karau Harer Mandira Marjanadishu Smrutim Chakar Achyuta Satkatodaye Mukunda Lingale Darshane Trisho Tadbritya Gata Prasegna Sangamam Granam च तत्पाद सरोज सौरभे श्रीमत्तुलस्य रसनं तदर्पिते पादौ हरेर्क्षेत्र पदानुसर्पणे शिरो ऋषिकेश पदाभिवन्दने कामं च दास्येन तु कामकाम्यया यत् यत् यथो यथोत्तमश्लोक जनाश्रय रतिः.
Okay. Nice, Prabhu. Thank you. Yes, Kavita Mataji. Hare Krishna, Kavita Mataji, you have raised hand. You want to try? Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, I'm able to hear.
Yes, Prabhuji. Savai Manah Krishna Padarabindor Vacham Shri Vaikuntha Gunanu Varnane Karau Tadbhatta Grata Svasta Anga Sangamam Gratam Cha Tatpada Sarove Srimat Tulasaya Rasanam Tad Arpite Padau Harir Khetra Padanu Sarpane Chiro Rishikesha Padavibandane Kamam Cha Dashyana Tu Kama Kamaya Yet Uttama Sloka Janasraya Ratihi. Hare Krishna.
Okay, so we should every day practice this. So those who can read the Sanskrit part of it, it is good. So you can read the Sanskrit, or otherwise also like some of the important things that are needed to see is wherever this dash comes, that means it is the Uchaswara. So that is Pada Ravinda. So it is no, it should be mentioned like that. And in general, wherever this dot comes, this is all the murdanya syllables. So that is the tongue has to be bent, and then we have to mention. It is like yes, dot means like it is a sha that where we fold the tongue and then touch it to the roof of the our mouth, right? So like that sha and na. So this is also na. It's like tongue bending na. And ta. No, this is like ta. It is not tha. It is ta. Right. So like this, we have to use these things. And those who can read the the Devanagari script, it is very easy for them. They will know exactly where to put what. So those who don't know the Devanagari script, so they can actually focus on that. So let's focus on the pronunciation also as the days progresses. And anyone has memorized it already? This set of slokas. Okay. So please try to memorize this. It's very, very important. So each sloka that we are remembering, it can actually help us in so many ways. This is a very, very amazing meditation on the various ways we can actually engage in the service of the Lord. and we can actually make it as a checklist. So every day we can actually recite this and say, okay, fine, I have thought about the Lord, I have glorified the Lord, I have cleansed the temple of the Lord, I heard about the Lord, and things like that. So we can actually make a very, very powerful this one checklist out of it. It's very practical, very important sloka. Please memorize this, and every day at the end of the session we will try to recite like this. Okay, so thank you all very much for joining. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada Book Marathon ki jai. Hare Krishna.